Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and thank you to those 4 subscribers that actually subscribed. I'm Sam Mooney, and today I'd like to discuss things to consider prior to leaving the organisation of Jehovah's Witnesses. This may seem a bit odd to cover, but this video is predominantly to help those that wish to leave or are considering to. Let's get started. The first one is it the right move for you at this time? For instance, do you really want to leave? By this I simply mean, will you be mentally and emotionally okay to leave right now? As you are probably aware, there are real consequences if you are baptized or even unbaptized for that matter. You could be left destitute, or even worse, you could not really want to leave. We see this all the time. Someone will become either disfellowshipped or considered bad association, in which case you will have to go through a plethora of hoops just to get back to your original position. So do some real soul searching, as it were, and really consider if you do in fact wish to leave. It's better to be sure that this is a path you truly desire. My second point is, have you considered where you'll live? This is quite important. If you think you are going to be left destitute, then I implore you to look at your options. And if you're in dire circumstances, don't be afraid to seek refuge in temporary housing commission, or even with other friends if you have any outside of the organisation. But if you are not yet in a dire situation, then consider organising with some like-minded friends or family to move out and rent a place together. Or if you are by yourself, then consider renting a 1-bedroom apartment or granny flat if money is tight. If you are fortunate to have a tolerant family, then you are in the minority, it would seem, and quite lucky. My third point is, where can you find support groups whilst remaining safe? You may find this hard to believe, contrary to what Jehovah's Witnesses teach about apostates, but we actually have a rich and diversified community where we support each other and genuinely want the best for individuals who wish to leave. There are numerous groups of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses out there. Consider doing a simple Google search, for instance. In Australia we have ex-Jehovah's Witnesses meetup groups, Facebook groups, Beyond Blue also caters, and many more organisations. Please do have a look. If you are forced to use your family's computer and fear retribution if they discover your activities, there are a few workarounds. Firstly, you could use incognito, but be wary. Sometimes the search bar will save search queries. Simply delete those as needed. But for those of you who actually need something more secure at home, consider downloading Tails operating system. The link I've included in the description. All you'll need is a cheap, clean USB, which make incognito in Google look like child's play, to be quite honest. There is, of course, going to the local library to use their computers to get in contact. And finally, if you have a particularly controlling family, consider getting a cheap phone. Here in Australia, you can go to Kmart and buy a $10 one and you're set. These may seem extreme measures, but you know what? I would argue that there are people out there that probably need these alternatives. Furthermore, I have provided a link to Recovering from Religion that have trained professionals that you can talk to. They have a range of inclusive options. Have a look. I understand they are really helpful. I personally haven't utilised them, but others such as Lloyd Evans, Matt Dillahunty, highly recommend them. Check out Lloyd Evans. He's an ex-Jehovah's Witness, an ex-elder. He has a fantastic channel. And also Matt Dillahunty and the Atheist Experience. Check him out as well. They both recommend recoveringfromreligion.org, and well worth to have a look at if you really want to get some help. And there's no shame in getting help. Number 4, make a living. This might seem obvious, but it can also be tricky, especially since it has been reinforced in the organisation of Jehovah's Witnesses to only get a job so as to further the ministry of all. Or my favourite statement from my mother, which was, Jehovah will look after you. Learn to save and spend money appropriately. For instance, I read Jack Canfield, The Success Principles, which I found useful in saving money. I have provided a link in the description as well to the PDF. It's a free PDF. Furthermore, you may find that your charitable nature, that of which the organization exploited, has intensified the urge to give even now, especially if you are in no position to actually give. Don't be afraid to be selfish and learn to say no. Anything where you know you're in no situation to help. Okay. Again, the link is in the description for that PDF. Do have a look. It is a good book. Number 5, getting an education. And oh yes, and the dreaded education that a lot of witnesses have been discouraged from getting, including myself growing up. Remember, getting an education can be an uplifting experience, as well as an exciting or even an angst experience to some. If you were like me, I went out to get an education to prove to myself that I'm more than what the Jehovah's Witnesses organization made me out to be. If that is something you'd like to consider, then I'd encourage you to go out and get one. And yes, I'm still studying. I sort of failed at psychology a little bit, got my counseling diploma. Psychology really wasn't for me, but I moved into I'm moving into philosophy now, and also theology. So endless options. I mean, I'm 33, and yeah, do have a look. You're never too old to study, and you're never too old to want to better yourself or move on with your life. And number 6, creating a new ideological model for yourself. It may seem strange to consider this one. Think about meetings where elders would give the illustration of a new suit of armor. As you are probably aware, this may seem metaphorical, but it is practically applied in the organization. But when you leave this ideological framework that you have been conditioned to exhibit, you notice that that framework is now useless. So even though you think you've left it behind in the organization, you've actually haven't. You've brought it with you, and it can be difficult to identify at times. Because, for instance, one of the biggest challenges I discovered when I first got out is that even though I thought I'd left it behind, I still was stuck in the mindset that when I read something or was told something, then that something was inerrant. It wasn't valuable whatsoever. That was a mistake, and please do watch out for those little honey traps, as it were. So consider for a moment that we take that exact same example and restructure it. A new suit of armor, if you will, but one that consists of reason, logic, and which leads to emancipation of the mind. This is one that I personally live by, to the best of my ability. And please, I'm not telling you to use my one, but instead encouraging you to consider making one that you yourself can live by and hold yourself accountable to. First bit is be a free thinker. Very simple. When I first made this rule, I actually found it very difficult, because when you start questioning certain ideas or beliefs you hold, I quickly realized that a great deal of them were either not my own or were poorly supported, which leads into become an explorer. I mean this literally. What specifically is your own beliefs, and can they be supported by facts? Confronting, to say the least. I know. Don't be afraid of exploring new ideas, even those that you find confronting, and just surely to spark emotions. I try my hardest to listen to both sides of the aisle, and finally, don't be afraid to ask questions. If I don't understand something, I will try my hardest to go out of my way to try and understand something. When I made these for myself, I wanted to become someone whom I could be proud of, and not just an ideologue that the organization trains you to be. And that's it for me. I wish you all the best with the coming year of 2021, and I hope this video has helped you somewhat, or at least giving you new options to consider. As always, thank you so very much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe if you want more content. And if I've missed anything, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Take care, everyone, and all the best for the future.